Hello guys, welcome back to FC Sean Predicts. Today we're going to be predicting Champions League round of 16. We have a lot of good games coming up. We also made an amazing job for the previous Premier League game week. We hit 7 tips out of 10 possible, and I also want to quickly remind you, while we analyze different factors to make an informed predictions, the beautiful game still remains an unpredictable sport and may surprise you when you expect the least. Isn't it the reason why we love this sport so much? So always keep that in mind because the tips are never guaranteed and you're encouraged to make your independent decisions. And now without further ado, let's go to the first game of the week. So first match of the week, Club Brugge will be hosting Aston Villa. Club Brugge are sitting in the second place in their domestic league with 1 win, 2 draws and 2 losses in their last 5 matches. Whereas Aston Villa are sitting in the 10th place in Premier League but have the same results, 1 win, 2 draws and 2 losses in their last 5 EPL matches. And they lost their previous Premier League game against Crystal Palace just like we predicted. Quick reminder, Club Brugge kicked Atalanta out of the Champions League in the previous playoff games. In the first leg they won 2-1 at home and shocked everybody in an away match and beat Atalanta in an away match 3-1 as well. Whereas Aston Villa were qualified to the round of 16 after the group stage. The fun fact between these two teams is they've already faced each other in the group stage and that game ended 1-0 for the home team, Club Brugge. I have to mention that Villa's Marcus Rashford and Marco Asensio are building a good chemistry. Rashford actually assisted Marco Asensio in the only 2 goals against Chelsea and he also assisted him in an FA Cup match against Cardiff. But I just feel like that Aston Villa is not going to pass this Club Brugge defense too many times. I wish they proved me wrong, but my score prediction for this first leg is 2-1 for Club Brugge. And my tip is combination of 3, Club Brugge double chance, combined with under 4.5 goals, meaning 4 or less goals in the game, and Club Brugge to score 1 or more goals, odds 1.95. Or if you really want something more simpler, then both teams to score, odds 1.75. On to the next one, Borussia Dortmund will be hosting Lille. Borussia Dortmund were able to kick out Sporting in the playoffs, winning 3-0 in an away match and then drawing at home 0-0. Whereas Lille were automatically qualified for the round of 16, beating the likes of Real Madrid at home, Feyenoord 6-1 at home, and 3-1 win over Atletico Madrid in an away match. Dortmund seemed like recovering, but not convincingly. They did win against Union Berlin, and Guirassy scored 4 goals in that game. As we already know, that domestic competition means nothing when it comes to the Europe's most prestigious competition, Champions League. And the fact that these teams have never faced each other in the past makes this game even more interesting and any outcome can be possible. So I'm not going to be surprised if this game is going to end with a high scoring 2-2 draw, but I'm going to try and back the home team in this one. My score prediction for this game is 3-2 for Borussia Dortmund and my tip is both teams to score combined with over 2.5 goals, meaning 3 or more goals in the game, at 2.15. On to the next one, PSV will be hosting Arsenal. Arsenal had an automatic qualification to the round of 16, winning 6 out of their 8 games. They're also doing a pretty good job in their domestic league, sitting in the second place, but I don't think they're going to catch up with Liverpool now. And from the other side, PSV had to go through the playoff rounds, and a lot of fans wrote them off against Juventus, but they shocked the world and kicked Juventus out of the Champions League. Yes, in the first leg when they visited Juve, they lost that game 2-1, but when they had a home game, they won that match 3-1 and made a comeback. But the fun fact between these two teams is, in the last year's Champions League group stages, they were placed in the same group where the first game ended 4-0 for Arsenal at home, but when they visited PSV, that game ended 1-1 draw, but they both made out of that group though. And the important thing to note here that PSV has a really good home record against Arsenal. The last 4 times Arsenal visited PSV, they couldn't get a single win with 2 draws and 2 PSV wins. I'm expecting a low scoring game in this one considering Arsenal's injury list and their horrible winter transfers. I think PSV is going to get it done at home. My score prediction for this game is 1-0 for PSV. And my tip is PSV double chance, odds 1.80. On to the next one. We have got ourselves a beautiful Madrid derby. Real Madrid will be hosting Atletico Madrid at Santiago Bernabeu in the first leg. Real Madrid had to go through the playoff rounds playing against Manchester City and defeating them in both legs, whereas Atletico Madrid got automatic qualifications to this round, beating the likes of PSG and Bayer Leverkusen. Their domestic league, La Liga, is in its peak. Atletico Madrid were able to defeat the 4th placed Athletic Bilbao 1-0 at home. And I also hope you didn't miss that Copa del Rey match where Atletico played against Barcelona and made a comeback after being down 4-2. And that game ended 4-4 draw. What a goal fest that was. Whereas Real Madrid had a visit to Real Betis and they lost that game 2-1. And that winning goal was scored by their own former player, Isco, and he celebrated that goal like never before. And with that loss against Real Betis, Real Madrid dropped to the 3rd place. They've only won 1 game in their last 5 La Liga matches with 2 draws and 2 losses. And a quick reminder that Atletico Madrid visited Santiago Bernabeu a couple of weeks ago in La Liga match, and that game ended 1-1 draw where Atletico Madrid scored first and Real Madrid had to catch up and equalize. The fun fact between these two teams is the last 3 times they faced each other, all 3 games ended 1-1 draw. Oh, also important to note that Jude Bellingham will not be able to help against Atletico Madrid. And of course, we do remember countless times Real Madrid kicking Atletico Madrid out of the Champions League. And do you think that Atletico Madrid would shock the world in this one and finally take their revenge? Leave your comments. I'm really curious what you guys think. This is probably the hardest game to predict this week. Despite a draw result being at 3.60 odds, Real Madrid winning this game at home sounds more realistic. Something tells me that Real Madrid will turn up in this game and actually get the win at home. My score prediction for this game is a narrow win for Real Madrid, 1-0, and my tip is Real Madrid to win, odds 1.86. On to the next one. Feyenoord will be hosting Inter Milan. There's so many reasons why this game is more interesting than so many other games this week. First of all, let me remind you that Feyenoord literally kicked out another Milan team, winning 1-0 at home, and that impressive 1-1 draw when they visited San Siro. All Feyenoord gotta do is just repeat the same result as the previous knockout stages, get a win at home, and visit the same stadium, San Siro. I hope you already know that Inter and Milan, they both share the same stadium, so they can just go back there within a few weeks, literally, and just kick out another Milan team. But again, Inter fans, relax. I know, Inter is in a much better form than Milan. Simply judging their domestic form, Inter is actually leading the Italian Serie A, whereas Milan is sitting in the 8th place. Inter actually had the best defense in the group stage. They've only conceded 1 goal, whereas they scored 11 goals. I know they didn't score too many goals. But again, we cannot forget that Feyenoord handed a lot of losses to some prestigious teams this season. They beat Benfica 3-1 in an away match. They made another comeback playing against Manchester City in another away match where they were down 3-0 in the 75th minute, and in the remaining 15 minutes they scored 3 goals and drew that game 3-3. And of course that impressive home win against Bayern Munich 3-0. So let's see if Feyenoord will actually be able to shock the world again and kick another Italian team out of the competition. But as much as I hate backing another Italian team who let me down so many times in the previous rounds, I'd still back Inter in this one. I hope Feyenoord are going to prove me otherwise. My score prediction for the first leg is 1-1 draw. And my tip is Inter double chance combined with under 3.5 goals, meaning 3 or less goals in the game, odds 1.70. On to the next one. Bayern Munich will be hosting Bayer Leverkusen. The top 2 German teams are facing each other in this round. Quick reminder, Bayer Leverkusen are the last season Bundesliga champions. And personally for me, Leverkusen seem to be in a much better form than Bayern Munich. They got automatic qualification to this round, whereas Bayern Munich had to face Celtic and barely made it out of that pair. And the fun fact is that Bayern Munich were not able to get a single win out of their last 6 matches against Bayer Leverkusen, with 3 losses and 3 wins for Leverkusen. Back in September, the game ended 1-1 draw, and they had another game in December which ended 1-0 for Bayer Leverkusen. And literally a few weeks ago, on February 15th, they faced each other again in a Bundesliga match where the game ended 0-0 draw. And that game was such an embarrassment for Bayern Munich. They had only 2 shots and 0 shots on target versus Bayer Leverkusen's 15 shots. They were totally dominated by Leverkusen. I still can't understand how they didn't lose that game. So this game is expected to be super entertaining. It was one thing to watch them playing in Bundesliga and their German Cup matches, but watching these two rivals in the Champions League knockout stages should be a totally different game. Xabi Alonso seemed like he knows how to play against this Bayern Munich. Let's see if he'll be able to get at least a draw when they visit Bayern Munich in the first leg. When it comes to predictions, after watching their game back in February 15th, and seeing Leverkusen completely dominating over Bayern Munich, I don't have too much trust in Bayern Munich in this one. My score prediction for this game is 1-1 draw, and my tip is Leverkusen double chance, odds 1.95. Or if you want something juicier, then Leverkusen double chance combined with both teams to score, odds juicy 3.0. On to the next one. Benfica will be hosting Barcelona. That's gonna be the game of the week for sure. What a crazy matchup this is. After that crazy comeback against Benfica, winning that game 5-4 was an insane match to miss. And once this game starts, I'm gonna watch it without blinking. Quick reminder that Barcelona got automatic qualification to the round of 16. They could even end the group stage in the first place, but they drew against Atalanta that last match at home. Benfica from the other side had an impressive game against Monaco. When they visited France, they won 1-0. And when they hosted the guests at home, that game ended 3-3 draw. Can they pull up an upset and win over Barcelona and take their revenge for that loss in January? Leave your comments. I'm super curious what you guys think about it. Benfica were able to win their Liga Portugal match against Boavista 3-0 and also their cup match against Brugge 1-0, whereas Barcelona won their home game against Real Sociedad 4-0, and the game before that in the Copa del Rey match they drew against Atletico Madrid 4-4. They literally scored 8 goals in their last 2 matches. The only question in this game is, are we going to witness another goal fest, or the teams are going to be careful and we're going to see a low scoring game? Well, with all that being said, I have to remind you a fun fact. We all remember that 2021 Champions League season where Barcelona and Benfica were placed in the same group, where Benfica beat Barcelona 3-0 at home, and when they visited Nou Camp, they drew that game 0-0 and sent them to the Europa League that season. Now Barcelona will definitely try to return the favor and kick Benfica out of the Champions League this time. Will Blaugrana be able to defeat Benfica in this away match by 3-4 goal differences? I don't think so. But is it gonna be a beautiful game? 100%. So my score prediction for this game is 2-2 draw. And my tip is both teams to score combined with under 5.5 goals, meaning 5 or less goals in the game, odds 1.75. Or if you want something better, then both teams to score combined with under 4.5 goals, meaning 4 or less goals in this game, odds 2.30. Because I'm thinking about it, I don't think we're going to see as many goals as we witnessed in January. And the last match of the week, PSG will be hosting Liverpool, another blockbuster of the week. This game definitely deserves a semi-final or even finals vibes. But instead, we'll witness this game in the round of 16. And a quick reminder that Liverpool obviously got a direct qualification to the round of 16, whereas PSG had to humiliate Brest and win 10-0 after 2 legs. Both of the teams are dominating their domestic leagues and most likely will become champions. PSG have won 10 out of their last 10 matches, and if you want to go back to the last loss PSG had, then you have to go 23 games back, which was a 1-0 away loss to Bayern Munich in that group stage games. Last time these two teams faced each other was back in 2018's Champions League group stage, where the first leg when PSG visited Liverpool, the game ended 3-2 for the Reds, and when Liverpool visited Paris, that game ended 2-1 for PSG, And something tells me we're going to get the similar vibes in this one. We cannot forget that PSG is managed by Luis Enrique, former Barcelona coach, and PSG's current tactics reminds me of that Barcelona 𝗗𝗓𝗏𝗏. And also important to note that in their last 5 matches, PSG scored 21 goals and conceded only 3. I also want to remind that PSG already lost at home in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid, and as we already know that Liverpool are arguably much better team than Atletico Madrid currently. But hey, that was only a group stage when they lost at home against Atletico, because this game is a knockout stages and it's a get a win or die trying kind of match. That PSG win odds look really tempting at 2.40, but the more you think about it, the more you don't want to touch that area. Can you even imagine PSG pulling an upset in this tie and kicking Liverpool out of the Champions League? I don't know, don't roast me now, I'm gonna make that decision after this first leg. So my score prediction for this match is 2-1 for PSG, and my tip is PSG double chance combined with both teams to score at 2.15. That's all guys, that was first leg of Champions League round of 16. Don't forget to leave your comments and predictions in the comment section. I'll try to reply to every single one of them. Also subscribe so you're not going to miss our next releases, and bye for now.